You thought this time would be different. You told yourself you'd changed, that this new strategy, the one you found at 2 a.m. on some trader's YouTube, was finally it. You downloaded the PDF, backtested the setup, memorized the rules, everything felt clean, logical, even exciting. So you sat at your desk the next morning, determined, focused, disciplined. The chart opened, and there it was, your setup. You recognized the pattern instantly. RSI divergence, liquidity sweep, market structure shift, exactly what the strategy promised. But your hands didn't move. Your breathing sped up. Doubt crawled in like fog under a door. What if this isn't the one? What if I'm early or late? What if I lose again? You clicked, hesitated, changed your stop, then watched the trade spike against you and stop you out. You stared at the screen, numb, not because you didn't know what to do, but because something inside of you simply didn't believe in what you were doing. And that's when the realization hits. It's not about the strategy. It never was. See, most traders are chasing the wrong enemy. They think if they just find the perfect indicator, the best entry trigger, the holy grail setup, everything will click. But the truth? The real failure doesn't start when the trade loses. It starts when you don't execute it the way you planned, when your nervous system rejects the rules you swore you'd follow, when fear overrides logic, when emotion hijacks discipline. This isn't a strategy problem. This is a psychology mismatch. You're not broken, but you're not aligned either. You're trying to force your brain to follow a system built for someone else, someone with different fears, different habits, a different life rhythm. And that's why it doesn't matter how many new strategies you collect. If your system fights your nature, you'll lose, no matter how smart, disciplined, or experienced you are. So let's start there. Not with indicators, not with setups, but with the one thing every successful trader eventually has to face themselves. Because trading isn't about knowing more, it's about knowing yourself deeply enough to build a system that fits your psychology like a second skin. And that journey, it starts right now. Before a single candle prints, the war begins. Not on the chart, not in the market, inside you. Every trader prepares for battle. Indicators tuned, plans reviewed, rules memorized, but most never realize where the real battle is fought. Not on the screen, but inside your nervous system. Let's walk through a moment you probably know too well. You sit down at your desk, coffee in hand, charts glowing in the early morning light. Your journal sits open. You've reviewed your trading plan, you've meditated, you've visualized success, and then it appears your setup. The liquidity has been swept, market structure has shifted, RSI shows divergence, the setup looks textbook perfect, but your hand doesn't move. Your eyes narrow, you zoom in, then out. Your breath shortens, you hesitate, you tell yourself, just wait for confirmation. Price moves a little, you wait, then it moves a little more without you. Now FOMO kicks in. You click. Finally. Too late. Price immediately pulls back. Red candle. Now fear. You move your stop, then you close early, or you hold and let it hit max loss. You stare at the screen, angry, embarrassed, confused. You did everything right until it mattered. And deep down, a quiet voice whispers what you don't want to admit. I didn't lose to the market. I lost to myself. You're not alone. This experience isn't rare, it's universal. Every trader who's lasted more than a few weeks has felt it. The moment when logic breaks down and emotion takes the wheel. And the real kicker, it's not because you're undisciplined. It's not because you lack intelligence. It's not because your strategy is bad. It's because your system, your entire approach to trading, was never built to work with you. It was built to mimic someone else. Someone on YouTube, someone on Twitter, someone with a different mind, a different life, a different nervous system. You're trading like a scalper, but your brain needs silence. You're following a sniper's rules with a marathoner's psychology. You're trying to be someone else every time you click. That's the hidden war inside every trader. The tension between how you think you should trade and how your brain actually functions under pressure. And this war, it doesn't play out in dramatic fashion. It shows up subtly, quietly, in the second guessing, in the analysis paralysis, in the overtrading after a loss, in the freezing before an entry, in the early exit just before target. It shows up when your prefrontal cortex, the rational part of your brain, shuts down under stress, and your amygdala, the emotional center, kicks in. You stop following the plan, you start following survival. And the market, it doesn't punish bad setups, it punishes inconsistency because inconsistency destroys edge. Let me tell you a story. A Reddit trader, Throwaway Trader 2023, shared how he blew 3 funded accounts copying ICT strategies. Not because the strategies were bad, but because they demanded a level of fast execution and attention to microstructure that didn't fit his temperament. I realized I was trying to be a sniper when I'm really a chess player, he wrote. He switched to daily timeframes, focused on macro structure. 6 months later, he hadn't had a red month. Or take Sarah, a mom of 2. She tried scalping the London session at 3 a.m. while her kids were asleep. Nearly destroyed her marriage, her mental health, and her account. Now she trades weekly options during her kids' nap time. Fewer trades, more alignment, consistent profit, same knowledge, different application, different psychology. This is what most traders never understand. Success in trading isn't about having the best system, it's about having the system that fits your emotional reality. Because when your system violates your nature, it creates invisible friction. Decision fatigue builds, self doubt compounds, confidence erodes, and soon even the best setups feel like traps. This isn't just anecdotal. A systematic review published in the Journal of Behavioral Finance analyzed failure patterns across retail traders. The number one reason for chronic losses? Not poor analysis, not bad risk management, but what researchers called strategy personality mismatch. In other words, the system didn't match the trader's psychology. Let's make that real. Imagine you're introverted. You need quiet to think, but you work in a noisy co-working space because someone online said community matters. You're forcing an environment that stresses your nervous system. Or maybe you're someone who processes slowly. You like to analyze, reflect, but you're trying to trade 1-minute charts because that's what your mentor does. Your brain is overloaded. You're not slow, you're misaligned. And that misalignment shows up in every trade. So how do you fix it? You stop fighting who you are. You stop copying what doesn't fit. You start observing your own patterns when you feel confident, when you freeze, when you chase, because that's where the real trading edge lives. Not in better setups, not in better indicators, but in psychological congruence, the harmony between your system and your nervous system. The most dangerous mistake you can make in trading is thinking the enemy is outside. It's not. The real war is internal. And the moment you realize that is the moment everything begins to change. You know what to do. You've studied the market, you've read the books, you've memorized the strategy. So why does it all disappear the moment money is on the line? Why does your hand hesitate on the mouse? Why do you move your stop without thinking? Why do you close early, again, right before price hits your target? The answer has nothing to do with knowledge and everything to do with your biology. Let's strip away the charts for a moment. Forget the indicators, the setups, the market sessions. Let's talk about you and what happens to your brain when you put it under pressure. Imagine this. You're in a trade. Price is dancing around your entry. Suddenly, a red candle drops hard. Not huge, but enough to trigger fear. You feel it immediately. Your stomach tightens, your breathing shortens, your heart rate spikes, you lean forward in your chair. That moment right there, that's your amygdala taking over. The amygdala is the brain's emotional alarm system. If it evolved to protect us, to keep us alive. When it detects threat, real or perceived, it triggers a full body reaction. Adrenaline floods, cortisol spikes, blood leaves the rational brain and moves to the muscles. In that moment, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for logic, planning, and restraint, goes dark. You're not thinking clearly anymore. You're surviving. You don't see candles. You see danger. You're no longer analyzing the market. You're defending yourself against pain. And here's the terrifying part. This can happen even when you're in a winning trade, because your brain doesn't care about your strategy. It only cares about avoiding discomfort. The second the trade feels uncertain, your nervous system goes on alert. And unless you've trained for this moment, unless your system fits your stress response, you will sabotage yourself. Not because you're emotional, but because you're human. Most traders never account for this. They think discipline is about willpower, about being stronger, about controlling emotions. But you can't control what you don't understand. You can't will yourself to stay calm when your biology thinks you're being attacked. You can't outthink panic with a checklist if your nervous system is in fight or flight mode. This is why so many traders feel like two different people: the calm, logical version before the trade, the irrational, impulsive version during it. That's not a mindset issue. That's neurology under fire. You don't rise to your level of knowledge, you fall to your level of nervous system training. Let me tell you about Elena. She was a disciplined trader on paper, organized, methodical, technically sharp. She built a beautiful trading system for gold futures, backtested it over 5 years, consistent edge, 62% win rate, smooth equity curve. Then she went live, and everything fell apart. She entered late, closed early, moved stops, chased missed entries. It wasn't the market, it wasn't the strategy, it was her response to pressure. In her words, the backtest never tested me. She had tested the system in perfect conditions. But the moment she added real-time stress, money, speed, unpredictability, her nervous system hijacked everything. So she did something different. She started forward testing her psychology. She traded her system in demo, but with full emotional simulation. Same pre-market routine, same rituals, same size, same journaling. And after every trade, she rated herself. Anxiety during trade, 1 to 10. Confidence before entry. Urge to interfere, 1 to 10. Actual behavior versus plan. Patterns emerged quickly. She realized her anxiety spiked right when trades hit 70% of target. She'd start micromanaging, closing early, so she built a ritual. After entry, she'd close the platform and journal as if the trade already hit target. She rewired her emotional response through repetition. Within a month, she was holding to targets, not because her strategy changed, because her brain adapted. This is the core truth most educators miss. Trading isn't about finding the best setup. It's about building a system that's executable under stress. A setup that works in theory is useless if your nervous system rejects it in practice. That's why simplicity often outperforms complexity. Because when your account is on the line, you don't have time to think. You need to respond. And you can only respond if your process is trained into your biology. Military units know this. They don't train soldiers to think under fire. They train protocols, step-by-step sequences repeated until they become muscle memory. One ex-military trader said it best: in combat, complex plans die. Simple rules save lives. In trading, same thing. When my heart races, I need 3 rules, not 13. So here's the real question. When the candles turn red, when your stop is inches away, when your heart starts pounding, can you still follow your rules? Not because you remembered them, but because they've become automatic. If not, then your edge isn't ready, because an edge isn't just strategy, it's psychological consistency under stress. Here's your assignment. On your next 3 trades, don't just track entry and exit. Track your nervous system. What did your breathing feel like? When did your hands hesitate or move too fast? What physical sensations arose? What moment triggered doubt or panic? Journal this. Pattern will emerge, and once you see those patterns, you can design a system that fits them instead of fights them. Because that's the real secret. The market doesn't beat traders. Their biology does. Until your trading process accounts for what happens inside you, no amount of technical knowledge will ever set you free. You don't need more charts. You need to build a system that your brain can follow when it's under attack. Because trading isn't about how you perform when everything feels good. It's about how you behave when everything feels wrong. That's where real mastery lives. And that's where we go next. Most traders think what they need is motivation. They watch videos on mindset, read quotes about discipline, post sticky notes on their monitors that say, stay focused, trust the process, be patient, and for a while, it works. They feel pumped, inspired, clear-headed. They sit down to trade with a chest full of determination. Then the market opens. The setup appears, but not exactly like in the textbook. A red candle prints, your heart skips, you hesitate, and suddenly the motivation is gone. You're back in the same loop, overanalyzing, overtrading, overreacting. So you tell yourself the usual lie: I just need to be more disciplined. Next time, I'll do better. Tomorrow, I'll follow the plan. But here's the brutal truth. You don't have a discipline problem. You have a structure problem. Motivation is not enough. Discipline is not sustainable, because both rely on the part of your brain that fails under stress. Let's break that down. Your prefrontal cortex is the logical part of your brain. It plans, it reasons, it weighs options. It's the part of you that writes trading rules, journals trades, builds routines. But under pressure, when cortisol rises, when money is at stake, it shuts down. Your brain goes into survival mode. The emotional center, the amygdala, takes control. In that moment, no quote, mantra, or sticky note can save you. You don't need a pep talk. You need a process that works without thinking. That's what structure is. Structure is the scaffolding that holds your behavior in place, especially when your emotions try to tear it down. Think about airplane pilots. They don't rely on motivation to land a plane in bad weather. They don't say, I'll just try really hard today. They follow checklists, protocols, systems, because lives are on the line. And when stress rises, memory fails. Trading is no different. Your money, your emotions, your identity, all under fire, every single session. If your process can't survive stress, it won't survive reality. Let me tell you a story. There was a trader named Marcus. Brilliant. Ex-engineer, built a solid, back-tested system with a 65% win rate. Every variable was optimized. Entry conditions, stop loss, take profit, risk per trade. On paper, it was airtight. But in the live market, Marcus fell apart. He hesitated. He exited early. He skipped trades. He blew up 2 accounts. He kept telling himself, I just need more mental strength. Then one day he had a conversation with a trading psychologist who asked a single question. Is your system designed for your nervous system or just your spreadsheet? That question hit hard because Marcus realized something. He had designed a perfect strategy, but not a repeatable behavior. So he changed his approach. Instead of trying to control emotion, he structured around it. He built a pre-trade checklist that had to be spoken out loud. He set timers between trades to prevent revenge entries. He installed a rule, 2 losses will shut down for the day. These weren't motivational hacks. They were behavioral constraints. And guess what? He didn't become more disciplined. He became more predictable. His edge wasn't willpower. It was structure that compensated for emotion. This is the difference between amateurs and professionals. Amateurs trade with emotion and call it instinct. Professionals build structure that absorbs emotion. That structure may include guardrails, maximum losses per day, week, month, time boundaries, only trade during specific windows, entry filters, checklists before execution, rituals, state changes before after trades, risk caps tailored to emotional tolerance. And the goal isn't to be robotic. It's to build a system that functions when your emotions flare up, because they will flare up. The question is, will your system protect you, or will it need to be rescued? Let's take another example. Anna. She was obsessed with motivation. Her desktop was filled with quotes. Her trading station had sticky notes with affirmations like, I am in control and losses don't define me. But every time she had 2 losing trades in a row, she spiraled, started clicking impulsively, doubled her size, chased bad setups. Eventually, she stopped trading for 6 months, burned out and ashamed. When she came back, she changed everything. No more affirmations, no more pep talks. She replaced them with rituals. Before trading, 3-minute breathing reset, read her trading rules aloud. After a loss, stand up, walk to the window, 60 seconds of silence. After a win, write down exactly what she did right, not just the outcome. These rituals trained her brain to shift emotional states, to detach, to recover, to recenter. They weren't motivational, they were neurological pattern interrupters. And within 3 months, she had her first green quarter. Ever. Here's what this all means for you. If you're constantly breaking your own rules, it's not because you're weak. It's because your system is too fragile under stress. Motivation is a spark. Structure is the engine. And in trading, you don't win with sparks. You win with consistency. So stop asking how to be more disciplined. Start asking, what system protects me when I lose control? What routine resets me after a mistake? What structure keeps me grounded on my worst day? Because trading psychology isn't about feeling better. It's about behaving better, automatically. And that only happens when you install the process before the pressure hits. So here's your challenge. Replace one motivational tool with a structural tool. Instead of I won't overtrade, create a rule. 2 trades max per session. Instead of stay calm, create a ritual. 3 deep breaths before every entry. Instead of I'll be more focused, block 90 minutes where charts are open and everything else is off. Build the structure now so you don't have to fight your brain later. Because trading success doesn't come from trying harder. It comes from building smarter. You don't need more motivation. You need a system that survives who you become when the pressure rises? What if your best trades had less to do with your chart and more to do with your character? What if every hesitation, every overtrade, every premature exit wasn't a technical error, but a psychological mismatch? Most traders obsess over what the market is doing. Few ever stop to ask, what kind of trader am I actually built to be? Because just like athletes have different strengths, speed, endurance, flexibility, traders have psychological traits that shape their ideal edge. Ignore them, and your system will fight you. Honor them, and execution becomes effortless. Let's break it down. Dimension 1, tempo preference, fast versus deliberate thinking. Some traders operate like snipers, decisive, reactive, fast. Others are like chess players, slow, analytical, reflective. Neither is better, but each requires very different systems. Take Tom Hugard. He thrives on speed. He once said, "If I'm not making decisions every few seconds, I feel like I'm falling behind." He scalps with size, rides momentum, lives for volatility. He needs a system that matches his internal tempo. Now contrast that with Investor Dean, a trader who takes 1-2 trades per month. He studies macro context, fundamentals, market psychology. His edge is patience, not pattern recognition. If Tom tried to trade like Dean, he'd go mad with boredom. If Dean tried to trade like Tom, he'd panic under pressure. Your brain has a default rhythm. You either thrive under quick decisions or collapse. So ask yourself, do I feel calm when markets move fast, or do I need time to digest what I'm seeing? This isn't about time frames, it's about your decision-making metabolism. Dimension 2, energy flow. When are you truly alive? Every trader has a mental prime time. Some wake up sharp, others peak at night, some are deadly accurate from 8 to 11 a.m., others don't think straight until after lunch. But here's the problem. Most traders ignore this. They trade based on market hours, mentor suggestions, or what works for others, not based on when their brain is actually online. A study on prop traders found a 40% swing in performance depending on whether traders operated during their peak energy hours versus off-peak. Let that sink in. Same system, same strategy, different hour, 40% difference. There was one trader, Alex, who tried trading London Open from California. That's 4 a.m. local time. He lost consistently for months, thought he was broken. Then he shifted to New York afternoons when he was naturally alert. His performance jumped. Same setup, same risk, different brain state. So what about you? When do you feel clearest? When are you not easily triggered? When are you most focused, least reactive? That's your window of execution. Honor it or sabotage yourself daily. Dimension 3, decision style, intuition versus logic. Let's get real. Not everyone sees charts the same way. Some traders look at raw price action and feel the flow. Others need numbers, rules, confirmations. We call this your decision style. Are you a visual pattern recognizer? You see relationships, flow. You read candles like stories. Indicators distract you, overcomplicate. Crypto Garlic on Twitter is like this: pure price action, no indicators, just structure and levels. He once said, the chart speaks, indicators just interrupt the conversation. Or are you a rule-based thinker? You need data, steps, binary filters. You don't want to guess, you want criteria. Quant Guy 95 is your spirit animal. He runs back tests, confirms with 3 indicators minimum, follows strict entry models. Both styles can win, both styles can lose, but the trader who succeeds is the one who builds a system that speaks their mental language. If you're intuitive but force yourself to use indicators, you'll hesitate. If you're logical but try to feel the chart, you'll freeze. So ask, do I feel my trades or calculate them? Do I trust my gut or my checklist? Your edge is hiding in your answer. Dimension 4, emotional trigger map. What breaks you? Here's the raw truth. Every trader has a psychological kryptonite, something that, when triggered, hijacks their system and ruins their session. We call this your emotional trigger map. Here are the common types. The FOMO type, can't stand missing a move, enters late, chases price. The revenge trader, one loss, spiral, doubles size, breaks rules. The perfectionist, wants the perfect setup, overanalyzes, misses entries. The freezer, overwhelmed at the moment of execution, hesitates. The overtrader gets bored, forces trades just to do something. One trader discovered his edge by tracking urges, not results. He wrote, I realized I only took clean trades when I acted within 30 seconds of spotting them. Longer than that and doubt took over, so I built a 30-second timer. Game changer. Another trader noticed she broke rules after arguments with her spouse. Now she doesn't trade on emotionally charged days, not because she's weak, because she's self aware. You can't eliminate your triggers, but you can build defenses around them. So reflect, what patterns lead to my biggest mistakes? What emotional states cause my system to break? What warning signs appear before I spiral? Knowing your trigger is like knowing you're allergic to something. It's not a flaw, it's a fact to build around. Bringing it all together. These four dimensions, tempo, energy, decision style, and emotional triggers, aren't just personality traits. They are the psychological foundation of your edge. Ignore them, and no strategy will save you. Design around them, and trading becomes frictionless. So here's your mission. Over the next 3 days, observe yourself, not the market. Journal. When am I most alert? How fast do I process decisions? What type of entries feel natural versus forced? What emotional habits sabotage me? You don't need to fix yourself. You just need to see yourself clearly, because your ideal trading system isn't it hidden in a Discord room. It's waiting inside. You just haven't built it for your brain yet. You've read the books, watched the tutorials, studied the strategies. You've collected blueprints from traders who seem to have it all figured out. But every time you try to follow someone else's system, it slips. Not because it's wrong, but because it doesn't fit. Not your schedule, not your temperament, not your nervous system. And yet you keep asking the same question. What's the best strategy? Let me offer a better one. What's the system that feels like me? Because until your system feels natural, like a second skin, you will keep breaking it. Discipline will feel like a fight. Execution will feel like resistance. And trading will feel like punishment. But when your system aligns with who you are, everything changes. Decisions become clear, trades become consistent, and most importantly, you stop sabotaging yourself. Let me introduce you to three traders. Elijah was a former poker player, cool under pressure, sharp with probabilities, but he struggled with day trading. Too many trades, too much noise. He switched to swing trading FX pairs based on weekly imbalance zones, fewer trades, cleaner structure, longer windows for decision making. Suddenly, his system clicked. He wasn't fighting to stay focused anymore. He was operating in flow. Marina, on the other hand, was pure instinct. A designer by trade, visual, intuitive, creative. She tried coding algos, tried indicator-heavy systems. It drained her. Then she stripped everything, just raw price action, supply-demand zones, and candles. Now she trades one futures contract, 3 sessions a week. Her charts are minimal. Her results, anything but. Jonas was methodical. Former engineer, loved data, rules, systems. Tried to trade like Marina, failed miserably. Every discretionary trade felt like gambling. So he built a checklist model. 5 conditions, all must align. His trading journal looks like a science lab, and he loves it. Same market, different traders, different edges, because they didn't build a system to be the best. They built one to be themselves. So, how do you do the same? Let's walk through it step by step. Step 1, start with your psychological profile. Go back to the 4 dimensions from the last section. Tempo, fast or slow thinker. Energy flow, when is your brain sharp? Decision style, gut instinct or structured logic. Emotional triggers, what breaks your focus? Don't rush this. You're not building a system for the trader you want to be. You're building it for the trader you are right now. Eliminate all the shoulds. I should be able to trade lower time frames. I should learn scalping. I should be more aggressive. No, you should build a system that removes resistance, that creates clarity, that lets you trade without fighting yourself. Step 2, match your market to your rhythm. Every market has a personality. Crypto, 24/7, fast, volatile, community-driven Forex. Session-based, liquid, global macro stocks, open close structure, earning cycles, narrative-driven. Futures, high leverage, fast pace, clean structure. Ask which market matches your lifestyle and mental bandwidth. Don't pick crypto if you need routine. Don't pick stocks if you hate stories. Don't pick Forex if you need a break from the screen on weekends. Pick the market that flows with your life rhythm. Step 3, choose a time frame that calms you. Here's what most traders get wrong. They think time frame is about opportunity. In reality, it's about emotional exposure. 1 to 5 min charts equals high attention, high emotion, constant decisions. 15 to 60 min, balance between structure and speed. 4H daily equals patience, clarity, room to think. What kind of pressure do you handle best? One trader told me, When I moved from 5 minute to 1 hour candles, it felt like the chart finally started talking slower, like I could listen again. Find the tempo that brings calm, not adrenaline, because the goal isn't excitement, it's consistency. Step 4, define your strategy. Style, are you a momentum chaser, ride trends, need movement? Mean reversion player, fade extremes, trust value. Breakout trader, wait for explosion, act on confirmation. Reversal sniper, catch turning points, love risk reward. Trend follower, ride the wave, ignore noise. Again, this isn't about profitability, it's about emotional congruence. Momentum feels amazing until you're late and overexposed. Breakouts feel powerful unless you can't handle fakes. Reversals are rewarding, but only if you can sit through drawdown. Test each style, not for wins, but for emotional alignment. Step 5, make simplicity your North Star. Complexity looks impressive, but under pressure, it collapses. Your system needs to work when you slept 4 hours, you just took a loss, the market's fast and messy, your confidence is shaky. That means 1-2 setups, 1-2 timeframes, one risk model, one checklist, one emotional reset routine. The less you think, the more you execute. A military trader once said, I don't need options. I need certainty. My system doesn't ask me to think, it asks me to follow. That's the kind of system you want. Step 6, backtest for behavior. Not bragging rights. Don't backtest for win rate. Backtest for emotional stability, execution clarity, alignment with your stress profile. Did you hesitate? Did you second guess? Did you trust the system? If not, adjust. Your goal is not edge on paper. Your goal is edge. I can actually follow when the market punches me in the gut. Step 7, name it, own it, live it. Once your system starts feeling natural, name it. Yes, name it. Why? Because when you name it, you own it. It stops being something I learned. It becomes something I built. It's no longer the system. It's your system. Even if it's simple, even if it's boring, if it works for you, it's right. Final thought. You're not trying to find the best system. You're trying to build one you'll actually use. The real pros, they don't have the fanciest tools. They have the cleanest alignment because trading isn't about beating the market. It's about removing the friction inside you. When your system feels like your own skin, you stop fighting, you start flowing, and that's when everything changes. You already know the setup, liquidity sweep, break of structure, confluence across time frames. It's clean, it's clear, it's textbook. But when the moment comes to enter, you hesitate, you freeze, you doubt. And in that tiny window, the market doesn't need to beat you. You've already beaten yourself. This is where most traders fall apart. Not in analysis, not in backtesting, not in strategy. They fall apart in execution. Because the moment money is on the line, trading becomes something else. It becomes psychological warfare. Let's get brutally honest for a second. How many trades have you missed not because the setup was invalid, but because you couldn't pull the trigger? How many times have you entered too early from FOMO, exited too soon from fear, skipped a perfect setup from doubt, moved your stop because of panic? These aren't technical mistakes. These are emotional malfunctions, and they all point to the same core truth. Execution is not about knowing what to do. Execution is about being able to do it under pressure. Let me tell you about Rosa. Rosa spent 2 years mastering price action. She studied every supply and demand concept, structure shift, candle formation. She could mark a chart like a pro, but she kept missing entries. Not because she didn't see them, but because she didn't believe herself in the moment. I was drowning in perfection, she posted on Forex Factory. Every entry had to feel just right before I acted, but the market doesn't give you perfection. Her breakthrough? She added a single, simple rule. No entry unless the candle closes above the 9 EMA plus order block formed. Not because the 9 EMA was magic, but because it gave her binary clarity. Suddenly, she wasn't thinking anymore. She was following. Her entries improved. Her confidence surged. Her execution became fluid. Why? Because she removed ambiguity from the moment of stress. Now let's flip the coin. Marcus was a former quant analyst. He tried going discretionary, reading price action like the pros. He failed. Everyone kept saying, you'll feel when it's right. I didn't feel anything. I felt confused. So he built a rule-based model. Entry only if 3 indicators align, risk fixed, targets predefined, no emotion required. His win rate jumped 20%. He didn't become more emotional. He became more mechanical. And that was his edge. 2 traders, 2 different styles, both learned the same lesson. Execution isn't about being right. Execution is about removing friction between idea and action. And that friction, it lives in your psychology. Because under pressure, your brain doesn't rise to the moment, it defaults to the familiar. That's why we hesitate. That's why we click out early. That's why we abandon the plan. Your brain is trying to protect you from uncertainty, and trading, by nature, is uncertain. So, unless your execution process is designed to function under psychological load, you will keep breaking it. Here's the truth no one wants to admit. You don't need the most accurate entry. You need the entry that you can take without hesitation and repeat it under fire. Because the entry isn't the edge, consistency is. Let's go deeper. There are two dominant cognitive modes traders fall into. Visual pattern recognition. These traders read the chart. They process price like a language. They don't need indicators. They feel structure, flow, pressure. Strengths. Adaptable, good with nuance, can see what others miss. Weaknesses, can't always explain decisions, vulnerable to overconfidence, hard to teach, hard to repeat under stress. You're likely a visual trader if you prefer naked charts, indicators feel like clutter, you hate rigid rules. But you must know this. If you choose this path, you need experience and emotional control because there are no training wheels. Rule-based confirmation. These traders need clarity. They want steps, conditions, checkboxes, strengths, easy to systematize, scalable, emotionally grounding. Weaknesses, slower to adapt, late entries sometimes miss nuance. You're likely a rule-based trader if you like indicator confirmation, you prefer checklists, you feel anxious without structure. But here's the mistake many make. They try to be both without balance. They combine raw price action with 5 indicators, no clear hierarchy, no defined logic, and when stress hits, the system collapses. So what's the solution? For most traders, the answer lies in hybrid execution. Use visual analysis to read context, use rules to confirm action. This is what funded traders do. Take Oliver Kell, for example. He scans visually. Where is structure? Is price trending or ranging? Where's the liquidity? Then he executes mechanically. Break of structure, volume spike, plus candle confirmation equals entry. The art is in the preparation. The science is in the click. So ask yourself honestly, does my entry system calm me or confuse me? Do I trust it under pressure or tweak it constantly? Am I forcing complexity where simplicity would perform better? If you're uncertain, here's a test. Next time you see a setup, pause. Ask, what's my first emotional response? Trust, doubt, hesitation? How long does it take to decide what finally makes me click or walk away? Do I regret fast decisions or slow ones more? Your execution style is hiding in your emotional patterns. Find it, build around it. One more principle, simplicity beats precision under pressure, not because it's smarter, but because it survives stress. When your account is on the line, your hands are shaking, your heart is pounding. You need 3 clear steps, not a complicated flowchart. As one military trained trader said, in the fog of war, you don't remember complex plans. You remember what's been drilled into your nervous system. Drill it. Final thought. You don't win trades when you find the setup. You win when you trust yourself to take it. So stop tweaking your entry rules every week. Stop adding more layers of logic. Start asking, what can I execute without hesitation, even when I'm stressed, scared, or down 2 trades? Because the market doesn't reward the smartest trader. It rewards the one who can stay consistent when everything in their body screams otherwise. Your real edge isn't in your setup. It's in your ability to pull the trigger and not flinch. You know what to do. You've proven you can follow your rules. You've taken clean trades before, high R, disciplined, emotionless. So why can't you do it every day? Why is it that one moment you're calm and the next you're revenge trading, doubling size, breaking every rule you swore you'd follow? Is it because you're weak? No, it's because you're human. And in trading, humanity without protection is financial suicide. There's a story I can't forget. A trader on Elite Trader once posted, I know exactly what I'm supposed to do. I've backtested it. I've journaled it. But some days I watch myself destroy my account like I'm not even in control, like I'm watching someone else wreck everything I built. The thread exploded. Hundreds of comments. People confessing they had the same out-of-body experience. They all had one question. What's wrong with me? But the real question should have been, why am I relying on willpower in an environment specifically designed to break it? Because let's face it, The market is a machine engineered to trigger every psychological vulnerability you have: fear of missing out, need to be right, desire for control, urge to get even, addiction to stimulation. And the harder you try to be disciplined, the faster your brain burns out. This is where guardrails come in. What are guardrails? Guardrails are external constraints that protect you from your internal chaos. And they're not about willpower, they're about designing systems that activate automatically when your brain goes offline. Think of them as bumpers on a bowling lane. When you're off, they keep the ball from flying into the gutter. In trading, they keep you from flying into self destruction. Let me show you what this looks like through real stories. The lockout protocol. Mechanical Mike, a crypto trader, coded his own platform. After 2 losses, I get locked out for 2 hours. No override. It's automatic. He showed his equity curve. Smooth, controlled, no catastrophic dips. Why? Because the spiral was stopped before it could start. He didn't rely on being strong. He relied on automation. The accountability partner. Sarah, a Forex trader, part with another trader. We have each other's broker passwords. If either of us tilts, the other changes the password. Sounds extreme? Her account was up 400% in 1 year. So was her partner's. Because sometimes the best guardrail is another human. Someone to stop you when you can't stop yourself. The physical circuit breaker. Lance, a funded prop trader, uses a simple timer. After every trade, I have to wait 15 minutes. Timer goes red. No trades until it turns green. Why? Because most of his losses came from immediate re-entries. Same idea, same setup, but no structure. This timer became a behavioral reset, a boundary between impulse and intention, the biometric failsafe. One tech-savvy trader took it further. He connected a heart rate monitor to his trading platform. If my BPM goes over 100, I'm locked out. Stress equals system shuts down. It wasn't punishment, it was biological protection. Because when your nervous system is in fight or flight, your trading becomes gambling with logic dressed as strategy. Why guardrails work. Guardrails are powerful because they activate without permission. You don't have to think, you don't have to decide. They're just there, waiting for the moment you lose yourself. Because let's be real, when your prefrontal cortex is flooded with cortisol, you're not rational, you're reactive. And reactivity plus capital equals destruction. That's why the best traders don't trust themselves. They trust their systems to contain their worst selves. So, what guardrails can you build? Here's a proven framework, the pre-trade checklist. Before entering any trade, you must answer, is this my A+ setup? Am I following my plan or chasing? What's my emotional state, 1 to 10? Would I take this trade if I were down 3%? If any answer is no, you don't enter. Simple, brutal, effective. The daily loss ladder. 1 loss, continue as normal. 2 losses, reduce size 50%. 3 losses, stop for the day. Weekly cap, 5 total losses max. This prevents spirals. You lose small, you stay alive. The cooling off ritual. Break a rule, you're out for 24 hours, not as punishment, as reflection. Journal. What triggered me? What emotion hijacked me? How can I spot it next time? This isn't discipline, it's pattern recognition. The success limiter. This one surprises people. After 3 winning trades, stop for the day. Why? Because overconfidence kills more accounts than fear. One trader wrote, "My biggest losses always came after my best mornings. Now I win early and walk away. That's why I'm still here." But won't guardrails limit my potential? Only if your potential is overtrading, overreacting, and blowing up. Guardrails don't limit freedom. They enable freedom by containing chaos. They're like autopilot. They don't fly the plane, but they keep you alive when turbulence hits. You still make decisions, but the worst ones are removed from the menu. That's not restriction. That's risk engineering. Start simple. 1 guardrail for 30 days. Pick just one. Lockout after 2 losses. Checklist before every entry. Time of day restriction. Only trade 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. Max 3 trades per day. No trading if you slept less than 6 hours. Partner you text after each trade. Don't build 5. Build 1 and master it. Because consistency comes from systematized self-protection, not inspiration. Final word. Trading doesn't punish weakness. It punishes unprotected weakness. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be prepared for when you're not. That's what guardrails are. They're not tools of the fearful. They're tools of the wise. So stop trying to be a hero. Start building like a pro. Your worst day is coming. You don't know when. But if you build now, you won't have to survive it alone. Backtesting makes you feel like a genius. You scroll through years of data, plot the perfect entries, calculate precise R multiples. You find the optimal parameters, polish your rules, and produce the dream equity curve. It's clean, it's logical, it's statistically beautiful, and yet you take that system live and fall apart within 2 weeks. Why? Because backtesting tests your strategy, but it doesn't test you. The moment money is on the line, the market becomes something else entirely. The candles move the same, but your heart doesn't. Your palms sweat, you second guess, you hesitate at entries, you exit winners too early, you hold losers too long. Suddenly, the rules that worked so well in backtest feel suffocating, and you realize something you didn't expect. It's not the strategy that failed, it's your ability to operate it under pressure. Welcome to forward testing, the part of trading nobody respects until it breaks them. Let me tell you about Elena. She was featured on TradingView's top list. Brilliant, disciplined, obsessed with data. She built a gold futures system with 5 years of testing, 62% win rate, 1.8 R average reward, smooth equity curve. Everyone said, "You're ready." So she went live. And in her own words, I fell apart. I closed winners at 0.5 R. I let losers run. I missed half the trades from hesitation. My system was fine. I was broken. What changed? The backtest had no cortisol, no fear, no doubt, no emotional fatigue. So she did something radical. She created what she called psychological forward testing. For 30 days, she traded her system in a demo account, but she treated it like real money. Same morning routine, same rituals, same pressure. She even tracked emotions, not just P&L. For every trade she logged, confidence before entry, 110. Anxiety during the trade, 1 to 10. Urge to interfere, 110. Actual behavior versus plan, and patterns emerged quickly. She noticed that her anxiety spiked whenever a trade hit 70% of target. That's when she started closing early, even in demo. So she built a counter ritual. After entry, she would close the platform and write in her journal as if the trade already hit target. This rewired her response. When she returned to real money, the early exit problem was gone. Not because she became stronger, because she became self-aware. This is the secret no one tells you. You don't forward test your system. You forward test your nervous system because the real edge isn't in theory, it's in behavior. And behavior only stabilizes when tested under real conditions, not historical candles. The SMB Capital Gauntlet, one of the most elite prop firms in the world, SMB Capital, has a multi-week simulation called the Gauntlet. Here's how it works. Weeks 1 to 2, sim trading the strategy exactly as designed. Focus is 100% on rule adherence, not P&L. Weeks 3 to 4, they add artificial pressure. A trainer stands behind the trader whispering distractions like, "That's a lot of red. Shouldn't you take profit here?" Why? Because if you crack under fake pressure, you'll implode under real. Weeks 5 to 6, real money, tiny size. Goal, identical behavior to sim. Weeks 7 to 8, gradually increase size only if behavior remains consistent. 85% fail, not from lack of knowledge, but from psychological inconsistency. The forward testing milestones that actually matter. Forget win rate. These are the real milestones that tell you you're ready. Can you take 5 losses in a row without changing your plan? Can you hold a winner to target after it pulls back halfway? Can you skip an almost valid setup without regret? Can you stop trading after hitting your daily limit? Can you trade the same whether you're up or down? If the answer to any of those is no, you're not ready to scale because profits come from consistency, not conviction. Your forward testing protocol, the Forward 20. Before risking another dollar, complete 20 trades in demo or tiny size. Same setup, same system. Track emotions plus execution. 0 rule breaks. Journal every trade. Here's what to log. Did you follow entry rules exactly? How did you feel before clicking? Did you manage according to the plan? What tempted you to interfere? This isn't about success rate. It's about psychological stability. Even 20 losing trades, if perfectly executed, are a win because you're training trust in your process. But what if I'm already live? Then use scaling layers. Go back to demo or 0.1 R risk for 20 trades. If no rule breaks, go to 0.25 R, then 5 R, then 1 R. If behavior cracks, scale back. Don't think of it as starting over. Think of it as recalibrating your nervous system. Because size doesn't just increase risk, it increases emotional volatility, and your system must be resilient enough to hold your psychology, not just your logic. Final truth. Forward testing is the mirror. It doesn't show you the future, it shows you yourself. And that's far more important because at the end of the day, it's not about whether your setup is profitable, it's about whether you can be profitable with it. And that comes down to one question. Can you perform under fire without flinching? Forward testing gives you that answer. So stop chasing backtest perfection. Start forward testing reality because the market doesn't care about your spreadsheet. It cares about your behavior. And until that behavior is consistent, you're not ready for scale. Most traders chase consistency like it's a secret formula, a magic bullet they haven't found yet. They think if they just get the right system or the perfect entry or the better risk model, then finally they'll become consistent. But here's the truth. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the strength of your rituals. Because when stress hits, when emotions spike, when doubt creeps in at the edge of a candle, you don't become the disciplined trader you hope to be. You become the version of yourself you've rehearsed the most. And that rehearsal is your ritual. Let me paint the picture. Two traders, same system, same setups, same market. One wins, the other breaks down. Why? Because one had rituals embedded into every phase of their trading, not just routines, not just habits, rituals. There's a difference. Habits are unconscious. Rituals are intentional. They're engineered to shift your psychological state from scattered to focused, from reactive to grounded, from hope to process. They become the anchors that hold you still when the storm comes. Take Ross Cameron, the founder of Warrior Trading. He's made millions day trading momentum stocks, but if you ask him the real reason for his consistency, I do the exact same thing every morning. Wake up at 7 a.m., meditate for 10 minutes, review my trading plan out loud, see, then scan for gappers. Same rhythm every single day. He doesn't think himself into discipline. He ritualizes his state of mind. By the time the market opens, he's already in the zone. That's not an accident. That's ritual design. Why rituals work and willpower doesn't. Let's break this down neurologically. When you're under pressure, your brain enters a stress response. Cortisol rises, amygdala activates. Prefrontal cortex, the part of you responsible for logic, planning, control, starts to shut down. You default to autopilot. So here's the question. What's on your autopilot? If it's scrolling Twitter, second-guessing trades, chasing missed moves, then that's what you'll do over and over again. Unless you've pre-installed a ritual system, something that doesn't rely on memory or emotion, something that's been practiced so often it becomes who you are under fire. Let's look at real examples from actual traders. The pre-market ritual. Momo Trader, a scalper, starts every session with the same 7 steps. Open trading journal, review top 3 mistakes from the past week, write, today I follow structure, not emotion. Stretch for 2 minutes, light a candle, yes, literally, speak his trading plan out loud, scan charts. He said, it's not about superstition, it's about repetition. My body knows, once the candle is lit, it's trading time. I become a different version of me. The micro check-in, Anna FX, a London session trader, has a rule. Every 30 minutes, close charts for 60 seconds. Take 3 deep breaths. Ask, am I trading my plan or my emotion? If the answer isn't clear, she pauses all trades for 15 minutes. She credits this ritual with reducing her revenge trades by over 70%. Why? Because ritual interrupts emotional autopilot. It brings you back into conscious control. The post-loss reset. Tom Hugard, known for his aggressive yet structured approach, shared this. After every loss, I walk to the window and breathe for 60 seconds. I look outside. I do not check the chart. I do not touch the mouse. That's it. Simple, but profound. It breaks the loss spiral. It tells his brain, the event is over. Let's reset. That's 60 seconds. That's where professional behavior lives. The exit celebration. Mike Bellafiore, founder of SMB Capital, teaches this to every trader. When you hit a target, celebrate for exactly 10 seconds. Ring a bell, fist pump, say out loud what you did right, then go right back to neutral. This wires the brain to repeat success, not just chase outcomes. It gives you emotional closure, even in victory, because without ritual, even a win can become a mental distraction. The end-of-day shutdown, one of the most overlooked rituals. A trader once told me, I used to close my laptop in frustration, and I'd carry that tension into dinner, into sleep, into tomorrow. Now I end every session the same way. Screenshot my trades, write one thing I did well, write one thing I'll improve. Close my journal, Say out loud, "Today's trading is complete." He said that ritual saved his marriage because he finally learned to leave trading at the desk. How to design your own rituals. Here's a framework. Step 1. Identify your weakest transition. Where do you most often lose control? Before the trade? After a loss? After a big win? During drawdown? At the start or end of day? That's where you need a ritual. Step 2. Build the ritual, 3 to 5 steps max. Keep it simple. Make it physical, movement, breathing, touch, add a verbal element, repeat it daily. Step 3, track emotional impact. After using the ritual, rate focus 1 to 10, calmness 1 to 10, impulse urge 1 to 10, um, adjust accordingly. Final word, ritual is identity in motion. You can't always control how you feel, but you can control what you do when you feel it. And over time, those actions become identity. You're not just doing a pre-trade ritual, you're becoming a trader who respects structure, who centers under stress, who resets with intention. This is what separates amateurs from professionals, not just what they trade, but how they prepare to trade it. Because the edge is never just in the system. The edge is in the state, and ritual is how you control your state on demand. So build yours, start small, repeat daily, and let discipline become automatic. So here you are, 10 chapters deep, not just into trading, but into yourself. You've walked through the fire of structure, psychology, stress, behavior. You've seen how the market doesn't just test your edge, it tests your identity. And now the real question isn't, what's the best system? It's, what system lets me trade as who I actually am? Because the trader you've been trying to become, the one who never hesitates, never overtrades, never doubts, that version of you doesn't appear through motivation. He or she appears through alignment, alignment with your rhythm, your energy, your psychology, your reality. Remember how this all began? You wanted a better strategy, but what you needed was a better fit. You thought more discipline was the answer, but what you really needed were guardrails. You thought execution was a logic problem, but it turned out it was a nervous system problem. You thought the market was beating you, but really you were just fighting your own wiring. Now, things are different. You've discovered that a system is not a list of rules. It's a reflection of your nervous system under stress. Entry logic doesn't need to be perfect. It needs to be repeatable when your hands shake. Risk isn't a percentage. It's how much your emotions can absorb before snapping. Forward testing isn't about proving the system works, in a sense, right? It's about proving you can work the system. Rituals aren't fluff. They're psychological armor. And what's crazy is you've probably already felt it, that shift, that click, that moment where the trade didn't feel like a fight because your process finally fit your brain. That's not magic, that's design. You're not following someone else's rules anymore. You're building your own structure, your own rhythm, your own edge. And that edge, it's not in the strategy. It's in your ability to show up the same way, day after day, no matter how the market moves. Let's go back to the beginning, to the stories you heard. Remember the trader who blew 3 funded accounts copying ICT strategies? He didn't quit. He looked inward. He wasn't a sniper. He was a chess player. He slowed down, switched to daily timeframes, passed the next funding challenge on his own terms. His words, same knowledge, different application. Finally, consistent, because I stopped pretending to be someone I'm not. Or Sarah, the mom who nearly wrecked her family trying to trade London at 3 a.m., she stopped chasing some pro-trader lifestyle, built a checklist system around her life, her energy, her truth. Now she trades 90 minutes a day, green 7 months in a row. More than that, her marriage is stronger. My husband didn't need me to be a great trader. He needed me to be an honest one. These aren't outliers. These are aligned traders, and that's what you're becoming. So now the question becomes, what next? Where do you go from here? Here's your 3-step call to action. Step 1, own your trader type. Are you a fast reactor or slow strategist, a gut trader or checklist thinker, a visual pattern reader or data-driven confirmer? Say it out loud, not the version you wish you were, the version that's real, because once you name it, you stop fighting it. You stop forcing yourself into systems that don't fit, and that's where peace begins. Step 2, make one change this week. Not a total overhaul, just one. Maybe it's switching time frames. Maybe it's limiting trading hours. Maybe it's installing your first ritual. Maybe it's cutting your risk in half until your body relaxes again. Start small. Start now. Don't wait for perfect. Alignment begins with a single point of honesty. Step 3, connect with others on the same path. You are not alone. There are thousands of traders just like you, unlearning everything they thought trading was and rebuilding it from the inside out. Find them, talk to them, share your version, because sometimes the system you've been searching for is hiding inside someone else's story. Final words. This wasn't just a tutorial, it was a mirror. And now you see what was always there. You never lacked discipline. You lacked alignment. You never lacked knowledge. You lacked structure that fits your nervous system. You never lacked potential. You lacked a system that respected your humanity. And now you're building it, brick by brick, breathe by breath, loss by lesson. Because in the end, trading doesn't require you to become someone else. It requires you to become the version of you that executes with peace. And that version is already inside you, waiting. Welcome to the beginning of your real trading journey. Now go, build it.